Good YouTube, it's of course of Right and Prophecy, and I'm here to say that the LA Lakers, now I have been planning and thinking about this very long and hard, and I decided that the Los Angeles Lakers will not repeat. And here's my reasons. Number one, it all starts with AD or Glass AD. I don't see the Lakers winning any playoff games with or without AD. I don't see them winning no playoff games. With AD at 100%, I could possibly see them winning the series. It all depends on AD. We all know what LeBron James brings to the table. That's never going to change. With his supporting cast, like without AD, that team looks like the '07 Cavaliers all over again. Like the way he just dragged that team to the playoffs, even though they got swept, the way he dragged that team to the playoffs with a bunch of nobody. Well, yeah, really, because nobody was a superstar besides him on that '07 Cavs team. So he was the only superstar in that team. So imagine him willing this team to the NBA Finals without AD. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to have doubts like, oh no, what are you talking about? There's no way that LeBron James can carry this team to the. He has done it before. Y'all forgot he has done it before. '07 roster, '07 season, you know? He's done it before. So there's no reason why he can't do it again. You know? Like, let me show you. He's done it on this season. This is actually 2K9, but obviously this was like the following year after that. You know what I'm saying? So this is actually 2K9, but they obviously, put it in 2K10. So this year in this game, LeBron James took the Cavaliers to the finals with the big three of Manny Ginobili, Tim Parker, and Tony Parker. Tony Parker, Manny Ginobili, and Timmy. Right? So it can be done. Now I'm not saying that I'm not comparing the two teams because obviously they had an aging Shaq and Gagauskas. They had Anderson, Varejao, they had Gibson, they had Mo Williams, they had Delonte West, they had Parker. So they had a lot of moving pieces. They had a lot of great moving pieces, but it wasn't enough. It's not like they had a second star on that team. You know, but I just don't see them. I just don't see them. I don't see the Lakers winning a championship without AD. Knowing how great the Nets are, I just think that the Nets somewhat is better, because I looked at that whole entire game, and I could assure you that Kyrie and KD didn't necessarily put the Brooklyn Nets on their backs in that game. If you really see that game was controlled primarily due to the role players doing their job, knocking down shots. Yes, Kyrie and James Harden had 50% to do what happened to the Lakers. I'll only put 50% because the role players did their part as well. If the role players wasn't really knocking down their shots, then they would have probably get blown out the gym. You know what I'm saying? But I always say this: your first impression is your best impression, or your first impression is always gonna be your last impression, because they're gonna face each other again, and this time the stakes are gonna be higher. The palms are gonna be sweatier. AD, KD is eventually gonna AD and Kyrie. I mean AD and Kevin Garnett are gonna be healthy. So I just think that they're not gonna get very far. Um, Now the good thing, well, actually not the good thing is, but yeah, the good thing is, where will they lose? Will they lose in the finals, or will they lose in the semifinals? Can the Jazz possibly upset the Lakers? Who knows? They probably can. The way they've been playing. Can the can it be the Clippers? The matchup that we wanted to see last year, but we didn't get. We will never know how that game might turn out because they never played. But once they played, people are gonna make a whole bunch of excuses. Well, they didn't have this. Well, they didn't have that. Well, such and so, switch teams, this and that. So it's not gonna be the same, because last year they had a Harold and they had, moving pieces. They lost some of those pieces last year. So I think adding Ibaka and, Shaman, re-signing Shaman, and still having, you know, Williams and Beverly is going to be effective, because all three of them can play defense, perimeter defense. Shaman can play defense. Patrick Beverly can be played defense. Not Mo Williams. Lou Williams can play a little bit defense, and Ibaka can play defense as well when he wants to. So I just think that the Lakers' time is up. I don't think the Lakers are gonna repeat. I know I'm gonna have a lot of people, saying, "Well, if the Lakers don't repeat, who do you got? Who do you got winning the championship then?" Clippers. I really do think that the Clippers are going to win it this year. Despite what happened last year and the year before last year, look, a lot of people can't really blame everything on PG. PG is just human, is just as human as we are. He makes mistakes. Like nobody's perfect. I'm pretty sure if you was in his position, you would have been saying the same thing. You know. Now, can he play better? We've seen that in the regular season. Show up when it counts. You know, like we just getting sick and tired of crowning people, best player, but they don't play like it. You know, like is it Kawhi's fault that Paul George is not performing? I don't know. Maybe it has to do something with him getting bounced out in the first round all the time when he was with the Pacers. Even though he had a pretty good supporting cast around him that year, even though he had a pretty good supporting cast around him, Danny Granger, Roy Hibbert, Wes, Hill, Stephen, no, not Stephen, yeah, Stefan. I think that's his name is Stefan. I forgot his last name. Like they had a pretty good, solid team, with a Frank Vogel who's now on the Lakers. So that Indiana Pacers team was very good. Why they didn't get far, I don't know. Maybe it was because of the Heat. The Heat was obviously loaded as well. The The Nets, they were all loaded. The Bulls. So 2010 was a very good. No, not 2012. 2013, I believe, was a very good year. Of the for basketball. But I just think that their time is up. I think they took advantage of the bubble when everybody wasn't really at their best. They faced a Heat team that was not really in contention of a championship. I believe the Heat surprised everybody, and they took it to them. Maybe if the Heat had an extra big man, then maybe everything would have probably gone the Heat's way, but it didn't. So that's why I said the Lakers will not repeat this year. And even if Anthony Davis is healthy, we don't know how fully healthy he might be. He might be 70%, 60%, 80%. So, you never want to, say that he's 100% injured, you know? Like let that injury heal up, you know what I'm saying? And then when it's time to come back, he'll come back. Now again, he may not be at 100%. He may say he feels good and everything, but he's lying to y'all. Like he's lying to y'all. So I just think that, he's going to um he's going to do the best thing that he can, and that's just to fight through it. Even though he's not at 100%, he's still gonna go out there and give it about 60%. 60% of AD is better than nothing. You know, LeBron James is gonna be too tired because he's gonna start playing overlapping minutes. He's gonna be playing like 40 minutes a night just to keep up, which their record is fine. I mean, I don't think, but again, losses can pile up. Just like just like how money can add up, losses can pile up too. Like you could go from 9 losses to 17. You could be 20. You could be 25-17. Before that, it was like you was like 21-9. Now you like 25-17. So I'm just saying, like hypothetically, if they start losing a lot without AD, because LeBron James can't do everything. So that's not the reason why I don't think they're gonna win the championship. I just think that teams are locked in heavenly. The bad teams that's supposed to be bad are playing very well. The good teams that's supposed to be good are playing very bad. So the NBA is a little wishy washy this year. Um, like nobody expected my Knicks to even be remotely better. Nobody expected, the Cavaliers to be better. Usually the Cavaliers is always in tanking mode. Look at them. Uh, so I won't be surprised. You know, and the Cavaliers had their way with the Lakers. Even though it's going to be different because experience comes into play when it comes to the playoffs. Like regular season. Like nobody takes regular season seriously, because of the amount of games you can play and you can make up for that. But beating you twice, calling Sexton going for 40+ points twice. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the Cavaliers can take it to the Lakers. Not that I mean, the Cavaliers ain't nothing to sneeze at. They're very good. They just got to put, their wins together and stop losing a lot. So, but other than that, they playing very well. They playing hard every night. So, I just don't, like I said, man, I just don't think that the Lakers are going to repeat. It's going to put too much stress on LeBron James' body playing 40+ minutes a night. Kuzma has to step up. Everybody's going to have to step up. So it's just not only AD. Like, if they had a third star, then okay, but they don't. They have a 1-2 punch. So, You put stress on AD, that's gonna put more stress on LeBron James. You know, and when it comes down to playoffs, he's gonna be fatigued and tired, and like he's not gonna want it. Like he's gonna want to try, but it's like his body is gonna reject him because he's been playing all those minutes. Averaging 37 plus points a night. So I just think that it's gonna be time for a new champion to be crowned. The Lakers had their 15 minutes of fame, and I believe that the Clippers will win this year's NBA Finals. If y'all agree with me, I'm not even a Clippers fan. I'm not even a Lakers fan. I'm not a Heat fan. But I respect those franchises because, they know what it takes to win, Especially last year. Everybody thought that the Clippers was an automatic lock to win the championship. Now they're piggybacking off of them, you know. I even picked the Clippers to win it last year, and I'm still picking them to win it this year because I believe that Kawhi Leonard could do the unthinkable. I believe Kawhi Leonard can do the unstoppable. Now, who's coming out the East? Got to be the Nets. Got to be the Nets. I don't necessarily see no other team threatening them. So it's gonna be the Clippers in the in the clip. It's gonna be the Clippers and the Nets. It's gonna be the Clippers and the Nets. So like, comment, subscribe. If you agree with me, let me know in the description box down below who you got. And till next time, take care of yourself and each other.